fast slow racer. As a fast slow racer, when I reviewed the actual three braking worksheets, um, I wanted to make sure that I understood what I was reading. So I didn't do any sim racing for at least like 2 weeks because I was
Mm.
focusing solely practicing, making sure I understood what I read. And is that a should I be still getting myself into racing, or should I just stay on focusing on those habits first before I get into racing? And if I do focus just on those habits and practicing, I feel like it's gonna get boring, and I'm not gonna have. Then it's not gonna be fun, right? And the whole point is about
Yeah.
having fun.
Well, that's what you're hooked on, right? I think it's where you're most having the most fun, right? So I think that my personal recommendation is to always block time for practice and then block time for racing.
Okay.
Because there are times where I want to just go in and practice the technique with the car for half an hour or whatever it is, and that's what I'm here for. 5 to 5:30, I'm just going to work on the braking thing, right? And then after about half an hour, it stops being fun. And then I go and spend some time racing. And as I'm racing, I just think about what I spent time practicing on and seeing if I notice it. I don't work on it so much in the races. I'm racing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I do spend a little bit of time just being like, oh, do I notice that brake rotation I was paying attention to? Like, can I get the car to turn like I was working on? Okay, maybe yes, maybe no. Keep racing for the rest of the afternoon, have some fun, right? So that it stays fun. Because sometimes the grind makes it not fun.
Yeah.
And so you're not interested to keep doing it, right? I always wait for like the aha moment in a race where all of a sudden that thing I've been working on has really started to pay off. You know, uh, like for me, it's been since I've been moving to iRacing, it's getting used to that 60%, 80% brake feel.
So
And initially because I came from ACC, where basically you just stand on the brake for 100% brake to get the car to turn most of the time. It was a hard habit to change, and doing just laps would frustrate me.
mm-hmm.
you know, because I've done so many laps doing so many other things, sitting here trying to get the car to turn at 60% brake all by myself, it was just boring and I would just get bored. So I would go back into races, and all of a sudden I was following somebody in a battle once, and I did the 60% brake thing, and the car just turned in, and I was like, oh, "That's the thing."
That's when it clicks.
That's when it clicks, right? And now I'm all excited to do it all the time because it's a tactic. It's a tool I can use when battling people. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, it's a thing, it's a thing. Right. So I think you do need to, keep racing so that you're
Okay.
continuing to have fun. Like this whole thing is about having fun.
So
Right. So
just
if we're
do, and I think because I was like, well, how do I, you have that checklist after the worksheet, like how to
yeah.
practice, right? But it's like, how do you practice? Like I read it,
I
but I
think that's a really important thing that it would be worth making a video about is just how to practice. Like not what you are practicing, but like how to structure your practice time.
mm-hmm.
Because I think you're right. A lot of people don't really think about how to do that. And also, there's a diminishing return sometimes practicing too much in one session on one thing for so long
Yes.
to the exclusion of everything else. You're not getting better at it, but more importantly, you're getting frustrated. And so now your mental programming is like, well, every time I practice, it'll end in frustration.
But it's
I
because
don't want
you're
that for
so keen on this. It's like you're trying to get it perfect and perfect, and it's like we're us humans. That's not good enough. It's not good enough, and then you just get frustrated.
No, I yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think that the thing that I would always recommend for folks when they think about practicing when they're driving is like the outcome shouldn't be a perfect execution of driving technique by the time that we're finished here. It should be a better understanding of what we're trying to get the car to do when we're out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, like we're human beings, so we're never going to drive perfectly. We're just going to be driving as best we can most of the time.
Correct.
And so if you can execute it at let's say 95% of what you need to do all the time, you will be ahead of most people who aren't doing it at all versus trying to hit 100% every time and failing.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
with
good
that,
question.
okay. So when I'm in my practice and I know myself, so I know other people go through the same and have the same issue, and I can just hear risk in my head right now. Stop
Mm-hmm.
focusing on um, lap time. Stop focusing on lap time, and I think I figured out how to not focus on lap time, and that's just turning off the delta.
I
So
disagree with that.
so, but
I actually think it's
the
fun.
reason why I did. and I'm going to tell you my why, and then but I do turn it on after a little bit. I don't just keep it off the whole entire time. I turn it off for the first like 3 or 4 laps because I'm doing the ten
Mm.
the 10 lap thing. So the
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
so I guess that helps to give context. So 10 laps, consistent 10 laps. I do my best to do consistent 10 laps. Now that you told me that if I get off track, that's not bad because I was trying to get 10
Mm.
perfect laps, you know,
Nope,
and that is
nope.
very difficult to do. Um,
Yep.
so now that when you told me
And
that, I was
perfect
like,
subjective, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Perfect subjective. So like,
I sent you my I don't know if you had time to look at it, and I don't remember when I sent it to you. I think I sent you, yeah, I sent you 10 laps, uh,
yeah.
this past week. I don't remember when.
Yeah, yeah. So I looked at your first set, but I haven't looked at your second one.
So it's in that folder still. It's in the folder I
Yeah.
share with you. But anyways,
Yep.
so I turn off the delta for the first lap doesn't count because like it's your outlet, so it's 0. So from 1 to probably like 3 or 4, I don't have the delta on because I tend to push right away. So
Oh,
then
I get it.
I try to get into that flow, and then as I get close to, I'm like, okay, I see that I'm at lap like 3, and depending on how I feel, I'll turn it on, or if it's 4, I'll turn it on, and then
Okay.
I'll see what my, because I can see already, because it has it there. You know what I mean? Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not recording that information. So when I turn it on, I can see like,
Hmm.
oh, and then I also have race laps, so I can see my time, and it's being consistent lap after lap after
Mm.
lap, and that's
I
what I'm
get it.
looking
I
for
get
to
it.
make sure that I have consistent. Like, oh, I'm running 42s now. I'm running consistent 42s, and then oh, now I'm running 41s, and in my split, I think the top speed was like our top time was like 250. And well, now
Okay.
I'm running out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, I finally figured it out. I'm getting it. Now I'm running 251, 251 like
Right.
2, and my
Okay.
OPT is 250.8, 8 or 7,
Okay.
one of
So
the or
we're
something like that.
thereabouts.
Yeah. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm close to my top split time,
Hmm.
and so that's what I started doing. What do you? And I want to hear your maybe you have a better way of, okay, hey, no, Jose, you should just leave it on, and this is why, and then keep your focus off of this and focus on this, so
Mm.
that way I don't
So
push right away.
no, I get it. So I don't think that there's a difference in better or worse as it is just having a program that you can slot into that you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, I always leave the delta on, but I build up my laps over time. So I don't try to push on those first few laps because I know that like I'm not really in the zone yet for about a lap or two. And for me, I keep the delta on because chasing that lap time motivates me
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously.
Yep.
So, on my first lap out, I'm not trying to push it 100%. I just want a clean and tidy lap just to not only just let tires warm up, but to let me warm up. Right. So I'm getting a little comfortable. And so I do a lap I know I can do in my sleep. And let's say, let's use look at a sake, I do like a 41 or whatever. I'm like, okay. And then I do another 41. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's not very fast, but I'm just doing the lap. And then as I start to push in one corner, the delta will gain a lot. And I want to bank that time. And by banking that time, basically meaning I don't want the delta to drop any lower than the time I just gained in that one corner
Mm-hmm.
because I know that I found it by breaking deeper, having a better exit. Doesn't matter, right? I find 4/10, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my goal for the rest of the lap is to not have my delta drop below 4/10 because if it drops below the 4/10, I've made a bigger mistake somewhere else,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so then every lap I'm focusing on finding some time somewhere to bank, and so by banking particular corners lap after lap, I'm chipping away at that overall lap time until I
Gotcha.
run out of places to bank time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that for me helps me not feel like I have to push right away because it's not always necessary. Like short story, and this might help you. Uh, when I first started iRacing, I would get into a lot of crashes right away because I would try to push from lap one like immediately,
Yeah, I learned
right?
not to do that.
Yeah, well, and the reason why it didn't help was because everyone was doing it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we were all being stubborn and all driving into this vanishing gap. And even though I maybe had the driving skill to make it, the other people around me, so then I'd be in a place where somebody less skilled would just drive into me, and
Yes.
I would be frustrated.
And then that's the end of your race sometimes.
So that's the end of your race. So then one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just sit here and just relax and just chase the next car until they screw up. I'm not going to try to pass anybody. I'm not going to try to go as fast as I can go. All I'm going to do is tailgate this guy until he screws up. And if I pass a bunch of cars, great. If I don't pass anybody, great. I just want to see what happens if I don't overexert myself right away. And I won 4 races in a row because everybody was driving off the road, just overexerting themselves right away and not getting into rhythm. And I got into a rhythm over the first 1 or 2 laps, just kind of, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, okay. And when they would fall off, I would just buzz right by because I'm already in my rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the lap time and my lap times were flying because I wasn't trying to like overdrive in places thinking that I had to just send it, right?
Yeah.
Just going, just going. And as I was going, I would pick up speed because I'm already, basically just trying to drive as fast as I can, right? And so I found that progressively pushing myself into that helps me. Now, on the flip side, I have to turn that off on a quali lap, because of the 2 lap quali format that you have for officials.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really get that lap in like immediately. So I've had to work on turning it on for 2 minutes to just push like mad. And then in the race, you've got some time to kill.
Gotcha.
But I find that bleeding my way in helps me so that I'm not discouraging myself right away. Because if I screw up this first 2 laps right away, I start from a discouraged place, and I have a hard time coming back down.
Yeah. I think we
You
I
know,
think anybody would.
yeah, I drive worse if I blow those first 2 or 3 laps right away. I
Like
can't
then it just
like
starts tumbling down like
it just starts tumbling down. Yeah,
for
like
me it's
if
incidents. If
I
I get an
push.
incident because my goal is to try like to get stay below 4 and then it's like once I hit 5 it's like it's over. It's like I'm in my
So
head then.
yeah, that's funny because like I decided early on that I didn't really give a shit about incident points, more so how I executed on those incident points,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because there's so many instances in iRacing because of this no fault system
Yeah.
that other people do things to me that I can't do anything about.
I know
Right?
that's what
Like,
irritates me. I'm like, dude, like even
oh
if someone
God, man. So like,
someone tries to bump draft you, you have to be careful
yeah,
because if you don't bump draft
yes.
right, you get an incident point. Like, bro, you just gave me an incident point. Like,
No, man. So I'll give you a brief example. So I was in a race 2 days ago that I won. And the guy that I beat drove himself off the road early on. He just dropped a tire. But you know how some people are, oh, you squeezed me off the road.
yeah,
Like looking at the replay, he's so far behind me, he just didn't know how much road he didn't have and just drove off, right? But in his head, I'm the devil,
yeah,
right? So I finished the race, and at the end of the race, he slams into me. I'm just sitting in, slowing down for the turn
yep, I
lane,
had that
and he just
happen.
slams into me full speed. So now I have 4 incident points sitting parked, right?
Yep,
And I was like, I don't care about incident points because I didn't do anything to cause that. Like I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't dwell over that. Same thing with like incident points when I'm dropping a tire. I do not give a shit about 1x points about dropping a tire. I don't really care. If the game doesn't tell me, oh, you cut the track, where like I clearly cheated, I could fuck all care about that.
yeah. See, that's
Right?
where I get the 1 points here and there because like they'll say that I went off track. Like you see it way at the top, but the game doesn't
Mhm.
say like you cut the track.
Right.
It'll just say off track or something like that. Way at the it's really small. I don't know if you ever noticed
Yeah.
that.
Oh no, it does. Yeah, it does. It says over in the corner. Nice
Yeah.
thing about having an ultralight is I can push that prompt off to the side. But I could give a fuck all about that. It's I think it also comes from karting and also real racing where track limits aren't really a thing,
It's only
right?
a thing in the
Like
game
if it's
because
if
it
it's
can be
usable and
tracked.
drivable, it's usable. It's track, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a couple places where it's like, yeah, I dropped an outside tire there making that pass. I don't fucking care. And in some cases it's just safer to do that than to try to squeeze the car back on track. Half the spins I see from people in iRacing are from them tightening the car back up to try to keep it on to avoid that 1x
Yeah,
when it was just like a puff of dust.
and that's what I wish they would improve on because I've seen I've been in some situations like well if everybody knew you wouldn't get an incident point from just let me just move over a little bit more
Yeah.
and then I don't have to worry about spinning this guy up, but now I don't want to get incident points, so I gotta like, bro, you gotta give me room, and you're not
Yeah,
giving me
yeah,
room.
yeah. I
So
think the thing that I would really appreciate from iRacing would be if they gave me a little bit more insight in the algorithm of how they calculate points, because I try to actually honestly do my best to not think about
it goes by
the iRating thing.
turns. It goes by average turns. If you for
Oh,
every turn you get, it calculates. I found a reading on it by
okay,
accident one day, and
okay, okay, okay.
and then because I talked to the guys a lot about this too in Simbros.
Mm,
Like it averages out how many turns there is in a race, right, or on a track.
mm,
So if
okay.
the track has more turns and you have less incidents, that's how it averages out your SR. So if you have, so
Oh,
once you hit like, it's four, it's four.
and so is the IR done by strength of field then?
Yes, it's
Okay,
4 incident points when it starts impacting you, like
I
majorly.
see.
Anything over
Yes,
4, like once you hit 4, it's already going to impact you. But once you go
yeah.
over 4, it majorly starts impacting you.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that because like I had like a 4.5 safety rating for a while. And then I did a couple of races at Olton where it just was like a bang fest or like I had to
Mm-hmm.
drop a tire or whatever. And I went from a 4.5 to like a 3.33 in like one day.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And I was like,
What the hell?
what
Yep.
the hell?
Yep.
Yeah. But the thing that frustrates me about it is the frustration I get is more out of human nature than out of the system. And what I mean by that is that, because iRacing is like the dominant sim across this whole space, folks look at that stupid score and make a lot of judgments.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
kind of like it's like if you're going to a bank, your credit score.
yes, it's
I
like your credit
rating is
score.
your credit score. Like,
iRating is your credit score,
oh, you're
exactly.
like 3,000. Once you get to like, I think 3,000, that's when like people start looking at you like, oh, okay, you must, in air quotes, right? You
Yes,
must know
yes,
what you're doing. You could be
you must know what to
fast, right? But you could be a crappy. It's the same as GT7.
do. Uh-huh.
Excuse me. The aliens would be great. They would be great at qualifying, but they would be crap in racing.
Yeah,
And I noticed that right away. I picked up on that right away. So I was like, okay, well, I need to be both. They're
yeah,
just trying to be one because they're
yeah,
looking at it as if I can be fast, right? Then I don't have to worry about it anybody being around me. But
right.
once you get around people, you just watch them just fall apart.
Crumble apart. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing that gets me is it's six of one, half a dozen of the other because on the one hand, I like driving in the rookie races because they're kind of wild and crazy, and so you get a lot of live fire exercises and some stupid shit. But it impacts your rating a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, it's annoying when you have a fucking teenager who's 19 being like, "Well, I have a 6K rating. You're only 1.7. What do you know?" And I'm like, dude, I've been drinking longer than you've been playing games. Like, I don't.
But that's when we
Right?
just need to show them up by racing. Shut
Yeah,
up.
that's why I'm like, well, then race me then. Shit, let's see what's up,
Yeah.
right? Um, but so
So
that there's that. But yeah, that's the thing that I think about there. Is like I try not to let the little nitpicks throw me off
okay.
because there's a lot of things that are outside of my control that the game will quote unquote penalize you for. That doesn't mean you actually drove badly. you
Gotcha.
know,
Yep.
that
No.
I'm like, that's fine.
True. True. All right. So here's, and I kind of know this answer, right? But at the same time,
Mm,
I try to take myself as being you because when you're super new, like it's the confidence, so it's easier for me to understand that feeling. So
yeah,
when I'm like looking at whatever I'm learning from you or anyone else, it's like how can I tell what I'm learning is actually working beyond like time improvement and what I should be reviewing in my replays? Because sometimes I can there's certain things that I'm like, okay, aha, I got it, and then there's other things where I'm just doing what I'm being told and I'm doing it, but I don't understand why I'm doing it, but it's working. If that makes any sense, right?
yeah, yeah. It does, and I think you hit the nail on the head. The last thing you said, do you have an understanding of what you're doing? Like, do you have a can you mentally visualize what the car is doing and why it's moving around and why you're intentionally putting in the input you are? Because that's the whole purpose of these exercises, right?
So how
It's not
do
just for you to.
So if I don't
So
understand, what should I like? What should I do to get? What are
yeah, that's a
resources
good
that I should
question.
get? You know what I mean, to be able to get that
Yeah, no,
mastery.
for sure, for sure. So, this is where talking to people I think will probably get you to your goal the fastest because I can point out a lot of books and things for you to read about driving technique and etc. But if it doesn't click in your head about what the why is,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to be hard for you to really accept being told.
Gotcha.
So, in a lot of cases, I tend to go to talk to other drivers about what they feel like the purpose of the exercise is and if they can explain it to me in their own language. Their way of explaining it to me may click more than what I initially read. It's kind of like when you're in school, right? The professor says something and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And you read it in the book and that doesn't make any sense. So what do? You go talk to your buddies. Does this make sense to you?
Ah, yeah, yeah.
And
Same concept.
they'll tell you what, the same concept. Yeah. And then as they start to explain it, then you kind of put two and two together and then you're able to come back to the exercise and be like, okay, I get why I need to be doing that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will put an asterisk with that because what if your buddies don't understand it either?
Exactly. So
Right.
making sure where
So
you go, where you're getting that input from, make sure that they have the at least somewhat of the same understanding or similar understanding,
I have
or
same
more.
understanding to help. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. Because it's like one of the things that people struggle with a lot of my exercises is I tend to break down every input as an exercise. So
Mm-hmm.
like with braking, there's applying the brake and then there's releasing the brake.
Yes.
There's different weight transfers that happen in both activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's what happens when the front gets loaded up and how does that feel? How does the steering control feel? How does the car rotate or not rotate? But then there's coming off the pedal. And how does the car's rotation change coming off the pedal?
Well, drive the
And what
MX-5, you'll
happens if
find out
you
real quick.
you'll find out real quick. Yeah, no, that's why I love that damn car, right?
Yeah.
Because it tells you immediately, right? And if you lift off the pedal too quickly, how does that feel? If you
It will
lift off in the
spin
wrong
you
place,
out.
how does that feel? Right? But also like if you stay on the pedal for longer and trail later, how that can feel good,
Mm-hmm.
And because you sometimes think that you are done and you are not done,
Yeah.
right? And so you need to stay on the brake for longer and get the car to rotate for longer, things like that. But intentionally experimenting with those activities with intention is important because then you get references for what is feeling good and what is feeling bad. Or if you just try to get a fast lap time, you never really get the learning of all of the other areas. So you don't get as much fidelity in your brain,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's kind of the purpose of a lot of those exercises is I'm trying to expand and stretch your comfort with experimentation of different areas of using the pedals or using the steering so that you get a wider point of view or broader point of view of what the car can and can't do and doesn't like rather than just trying to get you to do a 136
Yeah.
because as you drive different cars and as you drive different setups and as you drive in different conditions, you're going to need to have that experimentation ability, that improvisation ability is really probably more accurate to be able to be like, it's wet, the grip is different. How do I keep the car turned in with crappy grip on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
It's cold, the tire doesn't want to warm up so great. How do I get the car to rotate when the tire's not heating up? It's hot and the car slides immediately, how do I keep the car underneath me rather than just over slowing a fucking shit ton?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And if you are comfortable with that level of experimentation of being able to adjust under the pedals and like are confident with knowing what the inputs are happening, you'll play more with the pedals and where you can find grip or find balance out of the car. Or if you don't, it's binary. The car either turns in or it doesn't turn in. And so
Right.
you never get comfortable with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of that being said, well, okay, so I have two things about this. All that being said, the first thing is, I definitely can do a better job explaining that methodology of why that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have me to explain that to you, you're just like, this exercise is stupid,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Because you just don't you're trying to get to the end. You're trying to get to the I'm just trying to drive fast. Why are you making me wax on, wax off, Mr. Miyagi?
And
Right?
that's where a lot of us new guys don't understand because it's a racing game. It's fun. I just want to go fast, right? I just want
I
to be
just want to go
fast.
fast. Like, yeah. Well, so what they're doing is they're treating it as a shortcut rather than a learning thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely need to find more ways to uh, communicate that to people as far as like what the purpose of coaching and education around driving even is. Because what most people do when they come is they say, I'm slow and I want to be fast. So this should shortcut my ability to be fast. And
And
I'm
that's
like,
why we have
well, I
so
mean,
much like content the way we do because of
yes,
people like me.
yes,
I'm one of those,
yes, yes, exactly. And
but I'm
like,
not because like yes, I am one of those because I'm slow. I want to be fast, but I also like I'm slow. I want to be fast, but I'm willing to learn.
well, it's more of the like, I want you to understand how to be fast, not just be fast on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the new people who show up, it's almost like, how do I put this? It's almost like if they don't understand how to be fast, their lap time gets worse over time. It's just like the shine goes off them the less they practice,
Yeah,
because they don't understand what they're looking
it's
for.
because we're
And
falling
so
apart. We're not because we
you're
don't know how to
falling
be
apart.
consistent. Okay, we're not doing the right
Yeah.
things over and over again.
Yeah. So, let's say you get the shortcut and you get the alien lap time one time, but then the rest of your laps are shit because you didn't really understand the purpose of the exercise.
Or you don't even know how you got there. I've done
You don't
that.
even know how you got there. Yeah, exactly. You don't even know how you got there. And so I I try to find ways to structure it in a way that is granular to try to get you to understand the steps to get there so that you can get there repeatedly rather than just like, oh, you lucked into it. Oh, you lucked into it. Oh, because I mean, how do I also on the flip side, how do I take credit for that? Right? Like I can't tell you that I helped you unless you hit a particular lap time one time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn, don't talk to me. It's a freaking lottery if you're going to say it works or not. Where if you have an understanding of the car dynamic of what you're trying to do under the car and an understanding as a driver what you're trying to do, even if you don't execute it to the best of your ability to understand, but you're like, I know what I need to do, I just realize I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Versus the, well, if I don't hit this lap time, all of it's shit. Oh, okay, it's a very small target to hit.
All right. So you kind of answered this a little bit, right? So the question
Hmm.
is this. Um, so I'm going back to like, what if I don't understand? Like, I know how to, I know what practice is, but what if I don't understand? So, for you, like, what is the best way to like structure your practice session? Are there like, do you have like 3 to 5 simple like checklist items a driver should can follow, or if they're unsure of where to start or how to start? Because sometimes like you could have the written how to, right, but it's like
Yeah,
even though you have it, it's like where do I start? Sometimes it's the
yeah,
overwhelming like I don't know what I'm doing. Like
yeah,
so
yeah.
I get he's saying drive here, but what should I be? Yeah, what should I really be understanding?
No, I get that. So for me, I try to keep it simple. And I try to just give myself like one basic goal of trying to get the car to do X.
Mm-hmm.
And then I build my practice session around that. So
Okay.
I tend to break corners out by entry and exit first because it's easier in my head of like, I'm just trying to improve my entry or I'm
Okay.
just trying to improve my exit,
Oh, that's a
right? Because
good idea. I never thought of
it's
it
a
that way.
big picture goal to get me to focus on one half of the turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So today I'm just going to improve my entries.
I like
And
that.
then I'll go a click down and then say, okay, so how am I trying to improve my entry? Am I trying to be more committed into the turn? Am I trying to be more accurate of how I get the car to where I need it to be? Am I trying to become more comfortable with my level of commitment into a turn? Because we're just focusing on entries today,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what's my goal, right? A big one is typically underdriving, right? Is that I'm entering the turn and I'm in the right place, but I'm not on the limit of the tire.
And how do you know if you're
So
on the limit of the tire?
you'll know if you're on the limit of the tire if the car will go the direction that you want it to go, but you have no additional grip to do anything else,
Okay. Okay.
right? Because you have a grip allowance when you go into a turn,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And if you underdrive into a turn, let's say you have 70%, you're only using 70% of your grip allowance, you have 30% for the car to do other things. So if you wiggle the wheel or hit the pedals, the car will move around a lot because it's got a lot of grip to go those other directions. So we could have used more of that grip to enter the turn more quickly, but we didn't. We had an excess.
Gotcha.
And so the card will tell you that because it'll be too easy to steer, too easy to turn. right? If you turn into a corner and the car just kind of like just immediately darts the direction that you want it to go,
Mm-hmm.
you're under driving because you have so much tire grip left. The car's just like, okay, let's go. Whoop. When you're on the limit, it'll almost start going the opposite direction. It's like in Cars One. If you turn hard enough right, you find yourself going left. That's the being on the limit of the tire, right? If I
Mm-hmm.
go into a right hand turn right on the limit of the tire, the car wants to almost start sliding left because its grip allowance is used up.
Yep. Okay, so now I
Right?
now I I'm visualizing this in my head. So now
Mm-hmm.
I have an understand because I did understand, but now I know I understand. That's why I asked that
Yeah, no,
question.
100%, 100%. The underdriving thing is one of the biggest skill traps because you can put the car on the ideal line under driving, and it's confusing because you're physically on the right place on the racetrack, right? So you're
Mm-hmm.
you're driving the line, sure, but you didn't enter the corner with the maximum amount of cornering momentum possible. And all of that energy is generated from the corner entry, from the speed carried from the previous straight into the corner that you're approaching. So you can't magically generate momentum from the middle of the corner to the exit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not building that momentum, overlap, it's like a centrifuge, right? If you don't build that momentum from lap overlap, you can never go fast enough over the ultimate lap,
That
right?
makes
If you
sense.
overslow
Yeah.
in every entry, it does not matter how well you get on the power if your entries are too low, right? You'll never be able to generate enough momentum to have the lap time as the fast guys.
Yeah.
And so being able to be comfortable carrying that momentum in, right? And you have to progressively work your way in. So, the first thing I might work on is where I apply the brakes, how hard I apply the brake. And when I get to the turn, see how well the car feels when I get to the turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I might try braking later with the same amount of brake pressure. I only want to change one variable. If I change too many, I don't know which one works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm gonna, I was braking at the four, now I'm gonna brake at the three. If I brake at the three and I can still make the turn, well, I'm always braking at the three now, right?
Yes.
Now I'm going to brake at the three, but I'm going to use half the amount of brake pressure, see if the car washes wide. Okay, well, now the car, let's say I brake with half the brake pressure and the car misses the turn. Okay, well, now I know I need to brake hard here because half brake pressure wasn't working. I need to go deeper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe I will back up my brake and brake with half brake pressure at the three and see if the car makes the turn. Because maybe I can carry more speed into the turn. I can float more speed into the turn by braking a little earlier
You're gonna be so that
and
way
getting
more
that
to power sooner.
air. Exactly, getting on the power sooner.
Okay.
So I experiment with just, let's say, my braking application in one section of the track in one place to see if I'm still getting the outcome I want. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't just make the turn once and be like, I made the turn one time. That's the only way to do it. I try a bunch of different places, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because also it's going to be race, right? Because if I'm following you in a turn, you and I are racing. When we get down to turn one, I can't brake in the same space as you. You're in the way. So I need to know, how do I need to adapt my braking in order to keep with you when we go through this turn? Is this a sort of turn where I have to lift and just coast in behind you so that when you're done braking at the two, I can brake at the two? Sometimes, yes. Is it a corner where I could brake at the three but lighter and just carry that speed in behind you? Sometimes, yes.
That gave it,
And so
it just
knowing
it
those
gave me
things
an
will help.
idea of when I'm practicing now, because
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about that in your other videos, and I'm like, oh, how do I incorporate that? And now that you say that, now I can put on my ghost, right, as I'm driving around,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
as I'm behind them, start figuring out different breaking points for that.
Yeah. An easy example, an easy trick is try to tailgate your ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Try to tailgate your ghost without driving through them.
Yeah, and
Because if
I'm
you
gonna
can
do that
adjust your
now.
braking, stay on your ghost, then you know where places you can adjust where versus where you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a helpful skill. And then races, it'll pay dividends because I did this last night. I was tailgating a guy in Olton, and coming off the final turn, it's kind of the final turn. It's the final turn is like the first big bend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's got that little peak at the end. But coming off the final turn, if you break a little lighter, you can coast a ton of speed into the turn and stay on this guy's bumper.
And then you
All you're
got
trying to do is
the
stay on it.
draft.
Right. Well, all you're really just doing is staying on his bumper to just be intimidating,
Mm-hmm.
right? My planned attack point is somewhere later down the lap. It's not in this turn. It's just to be close, right?
Mm-hmm.
But since you've practiced braking lighter and earlier and coasting that speed in, you're confident when you make the turn. So it doesn't build that little mini gap of that change in speed where you're not on the throttle yet and he is, and he kind of pulls away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because that little pull away is what gives him the confidence that he's going to keep going, right? When you
Yes.
get to the apex, if you're on the not on the throttle yet and he is, and he pulls ahead even just a couple tenths, like a tenth, that's enough motivation for him to be like, yeah, I keep going, I've got him. Where if you carry in a bunch of speed and just roll into the corner behind him and you're just with him, most of the time they're psychologically defeated because it feels like you're going through the corner faster than them when you're really just going as fast as them.
And then for the person in front, it's more like I'm slowing down, so I got to push more.
Right. They push more because they're like, oh, I didn't get away there. I didn't get away.
Yeah.
I didn't get away. So they push more and
Yep.
they push more and they push more. And then eventually they drive themselves off the road.
I'm
Right.
raising my
And
hand.
so,
You can't see it.
right.
I've done that.
Right. So, so by being able to float the brake behind them and knowing how to brake lighter and still get a feel of the rotation and still transfer the weight and like visualize how the car is moving around, your mind tactically, you're not even trying to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Tactically, you're doing nothing tailgating. You're doing nothing but crowding, right? You're not trying to overtake them. You're not trying to do any of that. You're setting them up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so by having that improved brake control, you can do that setup over laps rather than over just one turn. So now you're a real nuisance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I like
Because
I
that's
like
that's
that.
a lot of that's often what my tactics are, even in the advanced MX5 Cup races, right? Is that dude, we're both the same speed. We're both doing 251s, 250s at Spa. Drive my ass off, and I'm not going to be able to pass you. The best I'm going to be able to do is keep with you.
Mm-hmm.
So feature what you can't fix. Keep with him.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
you know so
So
that's what I do. You just do what you do, keep with them, and in their mind psychologically they're always expecting to pull away constantly, and that's not how races work. So by you just filling their mirror psychologically, they're like, I must be failing. In reality, they're driving great. Now they're just trying too hard,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So by giving myself that one goal, to answer your question, giving myself that one goal of like just working on entries or just working on exits, it helps to simplify what I'm there to work on. And
Mm-hmm.
then I can play around a little bit with how I get that goal.
Yeah. And I like that. Like in that now with having this conversation, you just gave me a huge golden nugget that the answer was right there in front of me. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know how to do it.
No, for
and
sure, for
and
sure.
now
Like,
now I know, like, because when I heard you talk about it in your video, like you're like, if you like, you gotta find different breaking points from when you're behind them, and I'm like, well, how the hell am I supposed to do that? Like, then I'm gonna be messing up my practice. But now that makes
yeah,
sense now. And now I get
yeah.
it. Now I know what I need to do.
Yeah. It's the why. It's the understanding of the why
Mm-hmm.
that I think a lot of people get. Because so here's the thing. I get this way with trail breaking from time to time, right? One of the reasons why I don't show trace videos in a lot of my onboards is because people get stuck on this whole binary thing of like, if the shape doesn't always look like this, it's shitty,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there are times where it's like I might put more brake in. My objective when I'm driving is to get the car to be as accurate as I can up to the apex and get it to rotate the way I need to. And so if I need to play around with the brake in that one corner this one time to adjust for a mistake that I made or where I can get more rotation in that one instance, I'm gonna do it because the outcome to me matters more than it looking perfect on a trace.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are certain times where like you might see a stab at brake one lap just to make it do a thing, right? That your intermediate driver will look and be like, nah, you're terrible. Nah. And
Yep.
I'm like,
You don't
but
even
see, you didn't
understand.
understand what the intention of the activity was. And for me to explain this to you, I'm gonna have to write Shakespeare. So we're just gonna skip it.
No,
Because
yep.
God damn
Yep.
it. I'm gonna spend forever
Well,
explaining this to
for
you,
me, it's
right?
different because like I'm not fast enough for people to say anything.
Right.
So
So
they're
here's the
just
thing.
I'm
Here's
just
the thing.
entertaining them right at this point.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The one thing that I psychologically struggle with, and I'm working on this all the time when it comes to being a coach, is that by putting yourself publicly out there, you have to be comfortable with the fact that people are going to poke at every minor error, every minor issue, every minor inconsistency, mostly if they're jealous or if they're petty.
Mm-hmm.
And so being willing and able to just let that roll off your shoulder and roll off your back and keep going is a hard thing for me because it hurts my feelings. Because I'm over here like, well, I was just trying to help you with your driving, and now you're just like talking shit the whole time. That's mean. Like, why don't you help? Right. And so getting more comfortable, like putting my data out there and putting my traces out there has been something that I've really struggled with because the world is full of assholes
Yep.
and I don't want to talk to them.
So now I understand the now I have a better game plan for my practicing, right? So my
Mhm,
next
mhm.
question, and it's kind of like a few of them in here. So how many laps ideally should I be going around before I stop to like start reviewing my data, and what should I really be analyzing when
Sure.
I'm doing it? Because what I what I found my struggle was like because you have that, and I'm glad you have it, but I haven't utilized it because my practice time is very short when I get to practice. I get to jump on and then I gotta jump off, so I don't even get it. So
Hmm.
it hurts me because I don't analyze my driving, and I know that's
Hmm.
important. So let's say I do have that time and I'm doing my practice. How many laps should I do before I should stop and start analyzing things so I can figure out what I need to work on?
So I say 5 to 10
Okay.
because you need a couple laps to kind of warm up.
Mm-hmm.
You need a couple laps to be consistent, and then you need a couple laps to screw up. Right?
Yes.
Because what I'm looking for is I'm looking for consistency in behavior. And so I need to do enough laps that I can create a pattern,
Mm-hmm.
right? Good, bad, or indifferent. Most of the time, what I'm looking at when I'm reviewing my data is, am I doing the same thing every lap
Mm-hmm.
or not? If not, why not? Right? So if I'm hitting the brakes in dramatically different places everywhere, why? Is it because I don't have a reference? Is it because I'm just guessing?
How do you know? How do you know
Right?
if you are or not? Are you using some kind of tools to analyze that, or?
Yeah, so I typically will look at like Coach Delta or Coach Dave Delta or any sort of data acquisition software
Mm-hmm.
because the traces make it really easy to see. If I compare two laps back to back, if the line dips in the same place, then I know that I'm doing the same thing. If there are big discrepancies between when the traces go up or when the traces go down, then I'm doing different things every lap.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so what I first am looking for is not even before I even look at a reference of someone faster than me, I look at my own data first. And I basically am looking at how messy is my data. you know
Gotcha.
if the traces are all over the place, like from corner to corner, the slope is in a different place every single time by like several feet, like 10 feet, let's say. Right.
So,
That's a problem.
and I haven't used Coach Dave Delta in a while. Can
They're all the
you?
same.
I know you can obviously set your fast lap. Are you able to like compare to your other laps so you can kind of?
Yes, you can compare to your fastest lap, and you can compare to another lap. It's all that is a reference lap,
Okay.
whatever the reference is.
Okay. So
Right.
I think.
So in some sessions you can make your fastest lap your reference, and
Mm-hmm.
in other sessions you can make a faster driver your reference or a slower driver your reference. You
Mm-hmm.
could be the reference. You know.
Because I want to reference like
Um,
an average, like if I was doing 151.2 and then 151.3 or 4, I'd want to reference those laps because I want to see like where, you know what I mean? Like from the
yes.
3
Yes.
to the 4, like what did I do different from my fastest lap? Okay, well,
Yeah.
and then
So
I know like, oh, section 1, that's fine. I don't need to fix section 1. That's like now that frees up more bandwidth
right.
for section 2 because that's really where I'm having all the issues.
So I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give you is before you go into any session, the question you should always ask yourself is, what am I trying to find? What am I trying to look for?
And I
Before
need
you
to
open up the data.
change and I need to change my frame of thought because like and this is what a lot of us come into like that question is like a loaded gun because like what you already know probably the answer or how I'm going to reply, and it's going to be I want to improve my time, right?
Right. So, okay, let's even say you say I want to improve my time. Okay. So we want to look at where, and we want to look at what, and then we want to try to understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So even if you just said I want to improve my time, which is like the highest level
It's like,
goal of all the goals because
yeah,
that's what everybody wants
that's
to do,
actually the lowest
right? Like, of
level.
course, no
It's the
shit.
lowest level. If
Like,
you
I'm
really
racing.
think about it, it's the lowest level
Yeah.
because like
Well, yes. Okay.
that's
It's the
the
lowest
end
level
result.
question. Yes.
It's the
Yes.
end result you're gonna get if you follow
Hmm.
steps 1 through 10, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's you're
So,
gonna
oh,
improve your time if you follow steps 1 through 10. But the thing is,
right.
like,
So,
we want.
but let's start. Let's start with that. Let's say the only thing you were ever going to say is that I want to improve my time.
Mhm,
Okay. Go one step deeper. Then I would say if I want to improve my time, then first question is always going to be, where do I have the biggest inconsistencies in my own lap time?
mhm.
No matter how fast my lap time is, I need to at least be doing the same thing over and over and again to do this fast as I can currently do, so that I can then later compare to a faster lap time and know I can make a change.
So here's okay. So here's one, right? And I can, and this will help me as well as a ton of other people by asking me asking this question is, how do I know what issues I'm having? Like, I know how to, like, for the most part, trail break, right?
Yeah.
But how do I know if I'm trail breaking incorrectly?
Well,
I'm
so this is where we want to start comparing with a reference to really decide if we have a problem or not.
okay.
Right. Because everything is relative to if it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's use your example of spa, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were saying you were doing 151s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if or 251s, sorry,
No, I'm
251s.
down to
Well,
151 now. But yes, I
okay,
started out.
okay. So let's say 251s. You say you're doing 251s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if everyone else in the field is doing 252s and below, you're the fastest guy. You don't have any problems.
Mm-hmm.
You won, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if everybody in the field is doing 250s, you have a lot of problems because you're last.
Mm-hmm.
So this, first of all, is relative to the competitive nature of the field that we are in, of if this is something I have to fix right now or not, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if the time I'm doing right now is fast enough for P1, nothing to fix today. Anyway, another day, another problem, right?
Yep.
But if the field is a 250 field, there's a problem. Where is it? Right?
Yeah.
So what I will do is first I will see is how consistent am I lap over lap in my own driving, regardless of how well I'm doing. How consistently am I doing that thing? Because if I am very consistent in my lap, let's say I'm within half a second for 10 laps over and over again, then when I compare to a reference, I can clearly see a difference in the reference time to my time. There'll be an area where the delta time will go up by a lot,
Mm-hmm.
or will go up gradually. Depends on what the mistake is,
Yep.
right? If
Yep.
it
You see
if,
that?
if the
It's very noticeable.
it's very noticeable. If it's a corner specifically that you're fucking up, like you're just terrible on the exit in one place, you will see it immediately because when you compare it to a reference lap, when you look at the delta difference, the delta line that typically goes across most data acquisition software that tells you when the time has changed,
Mm-hmm.
there'll be a giant jump, and you'll go, "Oh shit! I was within a tenth or so of the reference lap to turn four, and then it went up by 6 tenths. Okay, that's the corner I need to fix. Got it,
And that's
right?
what's nice about uh, Coach Dave Delta and Track Titan. They show you like exact what corners you can improve on. That's
Mm-hmm.
one thing I like about that. Like, you can get the quick. It's a cheat code, right? You don't have to go try to figure out what corner you're slow on. It tells you right away, like, hey, you might want to work here, and then
Yep.
it gives you a breakdown, like, hey, your line's not right, or you need to brake a little bit sooner, or you're braking too much, or you're not carrying enough speed.
Yep.
That helps,
But
but I think, yep, exactly that.
yep. So
And
like let me give you an example. I just grabbed a fast, like the fastest alien time or whatever for Alton because I had some Alton data open, right? So, I'm looking at his time and I'm looking at my time. And the two big things that stand out to me is one,
he's carrying
the
more speed.
what's gradually building over time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it means I'm making small micro errors up until this big point here, right? Because it's a small gradual
You're
thing of
improving.
like yeah, but momentum is building over time where the pain is being caused, right? So
Yeah.
here's a big bump where there's a time issue, and you can see the speed trace is different here. So we got
Yep.
to fix that. And then here's a big bump in the delta here. So we got to fix that. So these two areas immediately stand out to me just at a glance, right? There's another one back to that, right? Where we say, okay, I need to pay attention here initially at the beginning of the lap. This 90-degree turn when I go into has always been a struggle for me
Is your
because I always
braking.
break too early. I break too early,
No.
because I want to be conservative
Oh,
and I
yeah.
want because the gold line's the left fronts, right?
Yeah.
I brake too early because I always want to be tidy around there because I don't want to wash wide and not be on the gas. So I overslow the entry,
Mm-hmm.
right? So even by looking at the speed trace here, looking at the amount of throttle that's applied here, and looking at the amount of hard braking, he's on the brakes at the same time as me, but he's on the brakes hard, where I'm on the brakes kind of soft and kind of like try to float the car in, which means I am late to get to power because I'm when I carry that speed into the corner, the car is still washing sideways a little bit, and I can't get to power, so I kind of feed it in kind of gradually,
Gotcha.
and that is costing me a lot of lap time because there's a long full throttle section after that, and so it builds right. But the big area that I really give a shit about is here because I go from 7/10 to a full second.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than being frustrated with the full second, you look at it as a 3/10 gap here, right? You say I could find 3/10 if I just fix the final. Because here he's braking earlier and harder and getting off the brakes earlier. You can see down here
Yeah,
the
the trail of the braking.
yeah. So here when we go to the brakes, he waits to get on the brakes and then hard
So you just have
and
to
then
invert your
trails off.
braking basically.
I just have to invert my braking. I've been kind of feeding into the brakes where I've been kind of lightly applying the brakes as like basically a little bit of lack of confidence. And then as the car gets into the
I'm
turn, I
ready.
apply hard brake where he just
Like
is
I'm
like,
ready.
brakes, be confident, come off. So I need to find a place where I'm braking that I can just get on the brakes and then try, right. And I know, having driven a lot of laps around here this week,
Mm-hmm.
this is an area where I'm always a little inaccurate about where I'm turning, and I've been compromising it by being into the brake to keep the weight up front to turn. It's not fed through. It's just been my way of compensating for lack of confidence on the initial brake application.
So I will say I don't know if Coach Dave does this. Do they give you access to the Ghost?
They don't give you access to the ghost, but they do give you access to like a reference lab. So okay, so here's the thing. I find that ghosting doesn't help me because when I'm in the middle of driving, I can't make the comparison as easily.
Because
It
you can see the braking and stuff, the taillights and stuff when you're. Because the
yeah,
reason I
but for
say
some
that's
reason
because
for me,
BRS you can. BRS you can
yeah, so
actually bring in the actual goals, and you can see their line.
no, for sure. I guess for me, I guess I what I always end up doing is I tend to do better doing laps alone and then applying them in battles with
Mm-hmm.
cars rather than chasing a ghost because the ghost tends to I tend to overdrive chasing ghosts because I get frustrated and I'm just like ah, right
That
where
I can understand and relate to that because I've done that.
when I'm racing people, though, I always know that there's something that I can drop if I fuck it up. So there's a certain amount of margin I keep in play as I'm working on that technique. And so normally what I tend to do is going back to that one whole goal thing, pick one goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would look at this data. I would say, okay, I'm just going to work on my brakes on the entry to turn four, or on the final corner. I mean, on turn eight, this is the final corner. I'm going to just work on the braking entry on the final corner. I'm not going to really worry about the rest of it right now because there's 3/10 I could find if I just fix that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the only corner I'm going to work on is turn eight. I'm going to work on my brake application in turn eight, how I turn in on turn eight. I'm going to work on carrying more speed into turn eight, see how that works itself out, right? I can see a lot more here, so that's good, right?
Yeah.
It's almost 7 kilometers, so there's a lot more commitment I could make, and I could also come off the brakes earlier because you can see where the minimum is, right? His
Mm-hmm.
minimum is way higher, so he's coming off the brakes way sooner, and you can see that right here at the very end of the trace, right? This dip in the blue, where the blue and the gold separate, is because of this application here between the gold and the red, right? If my foot wasn't on the pedal still, I wouldn't be slowing down in this little arc area.
Yeah.
So I can get off the brakes earlier and get to gas earlier and just commit to that.
I think I'm gonna have to get because I haven't used Coach Dave in about a year,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed when I was using it, I would take the time because it's a tool you're paying for, right?
Yeah.
So I would take the time, like I would do a few laps, and this is when I was doing in GT7. I would do a few laps, and then I would maybe I would practice for like 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I would stop. I would use that as like a cool down time, and I would review my delta, review some gameplay, and then the gameplay as far as like lap guides. I should let me rephrase that.
Mm-hmm.
I would review some lap guides, and then I would look at at my delta, I'm like, okay, I'm messing up here, or I'm messing up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and that's
Articles that
right.
are
You used to write articles for Coach
yes,
Dave's
I did.
Delta.
Yes, I did. Right.
Yeah, I forgot
And
about
and
that.
one of the reasons I even wrote that whole series was because we overcomplicate this fucking thing. Right. So you look at it, and all we're doing is comparing. Where did it happen? What happened? Why did it happen? And what do I need to do differently? That's it. There's only four questions you need to ask, right? And if if you overcomplicate the first question, which is where am I losing the most time, you get lost immediately,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So where am I losing the most time? Wherever the delta line goes up the most first. wherever this wherever this line makes the biggest bump, you
that's
fucked up the most.
that's where you go and look. Okay, now I
Go
know.
look there.
Now I know.
Go look there. And if you see a big gaps in trace data, like big gaps between the delta and U, the reference in U, also look there because that's free lap time,
Hmm.
right? If there's
Yeah,
a in the speed trace, if it's a massive jump, there's
that's
daylight
that
between
could be
those
like a
two.
from a second to two to like and like that small one right there with the speed difference. That's a few tenths right
Yeah.
there, two
Yeah,
three
it's a few
tenths.
cents. So what is that? What does it tell you? That tells you, hey, you're doing most of the lap just fine, Gavin. Because the line is just gradually only making jumps, individual mistakes.
Hmm.
It's not just jumping up randomly, right?
Yeah,
So from this corner all the way to here, you were
you're good. Hello, did I lose you, bud? Think I lost you.
oh no,
There you are.
come back.
Hello. Okay, there you
Hey.
go.
Hey, yeah. Well, all I was saying is like when you look at it, really, what it's telling you is that you're driving most of the lap fine. Most of the time, you're doing what you're supposed to.
I like now. Like I understood uh, Delta well to the
Mhm.
most part, but now that you broke that down, that was that's why I like having these conversations with you, but because like
For
I
sure, man.
always
Yeah.
pick up like freaking golden nuggets that I'm just like, dude, like my bag of golden nuggets is like increasing here. so, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, because the
so it's
thing we overcomplicate is we assume that what the fast drivers are doing is that we're getting back into the car with this really like Dexter's lab level of thinking of like complicated calculations of things they need to fix for the next. They're not. They're human beings and they're dumb like us. They need simple individual instruction of a thing to fix,
yes,
right?
yes.
So a simple instruction, brake harder in turn four. That's it, right? Get on
Mm-hmm.
the brakes early in turn eight and then come off the brakes. That's it. That's it. Because the rest of their bandwidth is used driving the car and doing a whole bunch of other things automatically. We don't have the bandwidth, time, or ability to constantly be recalculating a bunch of instruction, right?
Yes.
And it needs to be positive instruction because the brain doesn't understand can't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't give you a like, don't brake so light here because it doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Saying don't brake so light. Well, what does that mean? Do I brake hard? Do I brake full? Do I brake less? Long? Too many questions. Can't do
Yeah.
it.
No, no, that gives me yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
learned a lot
So
from
that's
this
that's what
little.
I tend to look at, right? And then I just chip away. So the other thing that I will also maybe help you is look at a reference that's maybe like a second faster or half second faster to start,
Okay.
and see if there's a big difference in just that half a second lap time,
Okay, because I
right?
normally go right for the aliens, and
That's too big.
I,
That's too
I, I
big. You
know it
don't know.
is. I know it is. I shoot for the moon because I if I fall short of that, I'm still good.
No, well, sure. And I mean, and sometimes
That
that's
that's
good to
that's the
just see
mindset.
like no, and sometimes it's good to see like big, like what's the absolute maximum potential of the car. A
Yeah,
100% for sure, right? But let's use like this trait, this gap here.
the
Let's use this one,
realistic.
right?
Mhm.
Right where I look at it and then that's me. Ask myself, what am I when I drive through that section of the track right now? Am I scared? Is the car loose? Am I worried about crashing? Right?
Mhm.
If the answer is no, well, then why are you going in so slow? Oh, because I don't want to drive off the road. Like I don't want to make a mistake. Okay, well, we need to find a reference for you to stop so that you can just carry the speed in. You're not worried about. It's not that you're incapable of braking. You're just overthinking it, and that's why you're slowing down.
Dude, like just this conversation is just taking it back to a lot of conversations that I had with Dream and Risk and when I was playing Gran Turismo. Like we didn't. If someone would have asked that, like you just asked or stated that question or answer in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, so both question and
Mm-hmm.
answer, um, that would I think I would be farther, because like I didn't ask those questions. Like, well,
Sure.
why did you turn? Like, okay, so here you're turning fine. Because I remember like spending hours with Dream and he was coaching me and he was like, dude, you're like your lines, like what are you what like we were trying to figure out what I was missing, because I was
Mm-hmm.
hitting, I had clean lines, I was hitting the breaking points, I was like consistent, but I was still off pace, and I should have
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
my driving and everybody was watching my driving and they were like, there's got to be a setting on your wheel or something, because your inputs and everything are showing where you should be in a top, like I should be in a top like 100 200 split.
Yep. Yep.
And that's why I say I know I'm slow, I know I'm fast, I know I'm really fast. I just got to figure out whatever that is, and when I figure that whatever that is, it's gonna be, I'm gonna go from like where I am right now to like I'm gonna be right up there, not like at the aliens, but like I'm gonna be up there where I can get close to them, I can almost touch them.
No, for sure. For sure. Well, and so, for me, I've always been a big proponent of battle buddies because even if my battle buddy can't explain to me what's happening, he's an immediate reference in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is I would chase him around and I would look at the corner that he would initially start to get away from me at. You know what I'm saying? So I would tailgate him. We would just go lead follow and I tailgate him. And we'd get down to, let's say, turn four. And he'd pull away. We'd finish running around. And I'd come in and I'd be like, okay, every time I get to four, you pull away from me there. Why? Why is this happening? What am I doing differently from you?
Mm-hmm.
Is it where we're braking? This is where you look at the replay. Is it where we're braking? Is it the amount of brake pressure? Is it the timing we come on and off the brakes? Is it the timing maybe he gets on the gas? I need to look at those things,
Mm-hmm.
right? But all I'm doing is comparing. He's in a car and I'm in the car. I just did a different thing in my car than he did in his car. How do I get my car to do what his car did?
Yeah.
Right? And that's all that is. That is all it is. And people overcomplicate. Like, honestly, so many people could use data, but they overcomplicate it, right? So they come in here and they look at this information, they look at all the traces, and they just start. They look at differences in the curves, and they immediately just take negative judgment without understanding where and why, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there are certain times where it's like I might match the delta time, but the technique I used to get there was different. You're looking in the wrong place, right? Just because these inputs are different, that's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say for example here we break in different ways, but we don't lose a lot of lap time. What it tells me is that I can break multiple different ways to that turn, and it doesn't really matter. I just need to slow down. However, I slow down, right?
Yeah.
Where I care about is this area here in the dip. There's a big dip between these two because he's coming off and accelerating a lot sooner than me. That's where this is where this matters, right?
Yeah.
Where I care about is getting back to power. Davin, you can get to power way more aggressively here. Oh, okay. You're just kind of nannying it around that corner there. You need to get to power. You need to get going. And I'm like, okay. And it's funny that I look at this because honestly, when I go through this double apex, people will always catch up to me there. And I would be a little frustrated. Like in the battle, I'd be like, why? Like I can lead them the whole lap, but they're always chasing me down the back straight because I'm not getting the power early enough.
You're
That's
not.
an easy fix.
Yeah. You're not confident in that
Right. I'm
turning.
not confident. Like when I carry the speed in, I'm so focused on keeping the front planted to the inside of the turn that I'm past the point where I could get the power. And the corner widens up there, so I can really get the power and let it run wide. I'm just a little unsure.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to start practicing jumping to power and just fucking drive the thing off the track maybe a couple times. Right?
Yeah.
And just let it go off. And be like, okay, well, that's not it's not right.
So
But there's
one thing that well, I know you have your battle buddies. So one thing that Risk and I and the guys would do is we would watch each other. So through Discord. So I would jump on
mm-hmm,
like, hey, like, hey, anybody free to just watch me do a few laps because I'm struggling in this corner. So just watch me do,
Mm-hmm.
let me get warmed up, and then watch a few laps and let me know what you see. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then Risk will tell me like, hey, you you're doing this or you're not doing that. You know, like I'm noticing you're not turning enough, and then or you're not correcting. You're whatever X is. He'll like because they can see, and it's different because you're processing a bunch of other stuff. So I found it
Mm-hmm.
useful to have someone just watch me sometimes, just to.
Oh, 100% having a spotter can be helpful because like sometimes you just need to get out of your own way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you need someone to just be like, bitch, get on the throttle. That can be really helpful.
Yes,
Like can be really,
like
really
now,
helpful.
like
Like
get on the
sometimes
throttle
you just need
now.
to, yeah. No, man,
Trophy
because when I'm in the
Trophy
car,
AI is really good at with that, but it also lacks a like it can't explain the why.
right. That's where coaching will always have an advantage
Mm-hmm.
because it's not explaining you the why and it's not adapting the why into a way that makes sense for you,
And
right?
it's a
That's what's
crutch, and it becomes a
it's a crutch.
crutch.
Well, because exactly. So, like, I've talked to several companies that have done data AI with data acquisition. I've even talked to Dave with Coach Dave, and that's why one of the reasons I asked him if I could write those pieces for him, because I was like, when you look at these data insights, a lot of people are going to get lazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be like, "Oh, you're on the brakes more. You're overslowing." Okay, that might be true, but where and why, and what do I need to do to adjust to find the lap time in important places? Because it might be like I'm on the brakes too much in one turn, and that's half of that 1.1, right?
Yep.
This is not helpful enough information for me to have a specific actionable activity. So I will look at insights like this to see if there's like a general trend that I might want to pay attention to, like overslowing. But I need to understand the why before I do anything else,
Yeah.
and that tends to help. But yeah, but we want most people want the shortcut. They don't want the understanding.
I, I mean, there's a time and place for shortcuts, and there's a and but
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they'll see the shortcuts will help you get. I want to get this time, but the
right.
understanding will help you get this
I
time,
want to be fast all the
and you will
time.
be faster consistently.
Yes, yes, exactly. Well, and I think the thing is, it's like, look, I like you said, I need shortcuts when I already know how to drive. I'm just trying to get to a competitive place as quickly as possible. All right, I'm already pretty confident in my skills. I'm just making some fundamental errors with the car, or just whatever, and I need to just clean that up and get moving. Right?
I just need to
Shortcuts are
understand to
great.
make sure that I am doing the right things because I know I picked up bad
Yes,
habits. So I got to
yes,
make
yes.
sure for me I got to redo my foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yep.
I can do the shortcuts. Shortcuts
Then you
then
can do
and
the
that's what
shortcuts.
people need to understand. Like shortcuts are for when you finally get the cake made and you have the frosting on and you made your first few cakes. Now you can start using the shortcuts. But for right now, you need to
Yes,
learn why we use this type of ingredients, why
yes,
we're using
exactly.
these type of pans, or and why we're using this temp, and
Yep.
fully
Well, because
understand what it
this is a
does to the
perfect example
cake.
here of the trait. This is a perfect example of the tracing, right? So, we talk about all the time universally how in iRacing you want to break at 80% of brakes almost all the time.
Hmm.
That's not happening here for three of those braking events. He's full brakes. It's for a very short period of time because it's a high speed track with very short braking zones, right?
Hmm.
But there's some areas where he went to full brakes
Yeah.
to make the car do the thing it needed to do. And then he got off the brake. So if
And
you just follow the only brake at 50% every single time, you lose time.
well, it's because he knows how the MX-5 is going to handle. Because if you smash the brakes on that, we both know that car is oversteering.
Yes.
So
But
he's
sometimes the oversteer can be helpful because you
he's using
smash the
it.
brake to
Yeah,
induce the oversteer.
he's doing
Yes.
it to turn the car to snap it into a turn.
Yes. To snap it into a turn. Exactly. Right. But the where is it happening? Why is it happening? And what do I need to do? Right. Then
Hmm.
once you have that understanding, then you can see those trends in the data and you're like, oh, I can see how his driving style is making the car do what he wants. I need to make the car do that too. Basically, you can be more aggressive with the car here
Yeah.
and it'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? And so that's good. That's good to know that. So now I know I can commit more to that part of the turn. And the problem I find with sim racing is ironically, uh, when you're a video gamer, you don't have a problem with commitment because you can't get hurt. So you're comfortable throwing the car in most of
Yeah.
the time
Yep. Yeah.
because
Because if I crash,
you just
like
are
I
good.
could just hit reset, so I'm good.
Hmm.
So there's no
So they don't
fear.
Right, there's no fear. So a lot of those alien times and quick drivers are comfortable in the high speed stuff because it's just as fast as the car will go. If it turns, then good. Where they struggle is like the low speed and mid speed stuff, where you have to manipulate the car. There's a
Mm-hmm.
certain limit that you can easily slide by and slide off the road, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in high speed corners, where basically you just need to fully commit and stop being a wuss, oh, they're great. Because I mean, I'm not going to die. So YOLO.
Yeah. All right. So my last question. Um, Now that I'm doing the practicing, I'm understanding, I'm following all the guidelines. We've done our evaluation, because you have your evaluation. Send me your replays. Let's analyze them. Let's go from there. So once I get all that, I finish all that stuff. At what stage of my development do you recommend I should start seeking you out for coaching, or even seeking anybody out for coaching?
Yeah. So I
I
think
know
your
that's
answer
a,
is
I
gonna
know that's not like an easy question to answer.
no, 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 yeah, because it's definitely not one size fits all, right? But I personally think you want to seek out a coach for two reasons. Reason one is you feel like you have a good foundation for your driving, and you want to have a professional to review where you feel like you currently are at. So you want a snapshot, right? You're not going to see me a lot, but you want me to take a dedicated look at your driving one time, see if there's any big things you might be missing. The second time I think that is really useful is when you've, what I would say, have decided that you're fully dedicated and you want multiple, someone to look at it like multiple times deeply, like repeatedly. You know what I'm saying? When you're like very, very new, like a novice, you just need fundamental understanding, like the line and where to brake and where to turn. And I personally don't think that coaching is helpful for you then. First of all, because most of that information is publicly available.
Yes.
You can find it anywhere. So don't pay me $100 to tell you what the line is. That's not a good use of your money. But when you are at, let's say, an intermediate level where your driving is fairly consistent and you feel like you have enough mental bandwidth to consume concepts and start to think about your driving a bit more, that's when I think that having a coach is helpful. Because the last thing you want is to spend a bunch of money for someone to throw terms that are way over your head all the time. Because you've never
Agreed.
heard of any of them, you know?
So I do. So how do you know like what stage a driver is at? Like you seen my
Oh,
replay. You
me
see.
personally, like how do I make that judgment call?
Mm-hmm.
So I make that judgment call based on how they're driving, but also how they speak about it. That's
Gotcha.
why I normally have those advisory sessions to get to know you,
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of like the how do I know if you know what's up, right?
Yeah.
If you come to me and you start, the first thing you say is like, "Well, I'm a fast driver, but I've just got bad setups." Well, we're not going to be talking for very long. You don't have even the right mindset of like having a very learner or open-minded mindset of adjusting your driving at all to really fix any of the issues that you're creating on your own. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with you, because you're gonna burn a lot of your own. You're gonna burn a lot of money spending with me talking about setups when it was never a setup problem; it was a driving problem.
Mm-hmm.
So nope, right?
So
And
with me,
then
like, so where do you think I fall? Obviously, I
so
know
I
I'm not a beginner. I know that because I know
yeah,
a lot
so
more than a
you definitely
beginner.
fall in the intermediate category because like you understand all of the basic terminology of like the racing lines and the apex and trying to on. You've had a lot of seat time racing a bunch of different stuff, so you can appreciate the difference between driving good and driving badly. Um, you do need some. This is just me, speaking off the cuff.
Yeah.
You need some mental support in your ability to kind of focus your direction of your time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I think having a coach can be very helpful because I can give structured ways to program to organize your time, but you don't need me every single day
Correct.
to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm like a piano teacher, right? I'm going to give you some lessons to go away and work on. You're going to, make those some of the pillars of your driving. You'll come back and see me in a week or two, and we'll see how you've been getting on.
Okay.
But you don't want me every single week, right? Because that would just be me repeating myself
Yeah, it wouldn't
and
make
very
any. It wouldn't be no value in that. and
There would be no value. Exactly. Yeah. Because I'm just going to say, oh, you're at the same spot. 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 You know
kind of
what I'm saying?
that's
And
why I said that's why I said the last time, like, hey, let me just give you some time to gather
yeah.
all the stuff we spoke about and let you just go do you, and then we'll
Yep.
get back together again.
Uh, and let me put it to you like this. So like I am constantly thinking to myself, and the reason why I purposely put coaching one-on-one experience is that people's expectations of what they want to get out of their coaching will vary, and the types of cars they want to drive will also vary too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I personally only really want to coach with people who have a very specific use case they're trying to work on when it comes to their driving, so we can make the best use of their time. I would rather
I like
me and
that.
say, it went down for like a split second and then came back. And then all of a sudden it started playing some stuff. And I was like, oh, hey, internet's back. All right.
Yeah, I gotta
Phone
figure that.
exception waited for a little while.
Well,
Um,
because of time, and we've had a pretty good morning, and I've taken up a lot of your time, and I greatly appreciate it.